This week celebrates my birthday. I just turned 64. And I thought for my birthday show, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to read an excerpt from my upcoming men's book, which will be out later this year. And I really do want your feedback, whatever it is. Understand it's out of the context of the whole book. And this will be a little bit longer show. It's based on the mistake where we've put overemphasis on men, quote, getting in touch with their feminine side at the expense of first embracing, healing, and recognizing the value of the masculine side, which I think is a cornerstone of many of our problems, leading to fathers that aren't holding their ground for values for their children, and society not supporting them either. In high school, with my experience of dyslexia and then undiagnosed ADD qualities, I never fit in with any form of formal competition. But one thing that added a lot to my life was independent weight training, fitness training, where I was competing with myself. The director, Elizabeth Ely, of my high school, the field school, lived nearby in an apartment. And the person in charge of maintenance and everything else of the apartment was Clark Vance. She had got to know him and knew that he did weight training in the garage and came up with the idea of possibly letting students take a weight training class with him. Long story short of that, I loved it, and the other students found it so intense they weren't attracted to it. So it turned out that for PE, I was the only person going to Clark Vance. She knew it, and he really had a positive, profound influence on me directing my energy as a young, testosterone-based teenager that didn't feel he fit in with normal sports. I'm now going to read the excerpt. Whether or not men become fathers, I've observed that they tend to follow one of four distinct paths. Number one, the antisocial or anti-identifying man. Number two, the workaholic man. Number three, the codependent man. And number four, centered and focused man, who is grounded, ready, compassionate, and fierce. Men who are on the antisocial or anti-identifying path have no job, no mission in life, and identifiably no relationship, because they have decided that the world is crazy and they're not going to have any part of it, or because they feel overwhelmed by the demands of adulthood. An example of this type is a stereotypical guy living in his mother's basement. In some cultures, it is commonplace for entire families to live under the same roof, with equitable contributions from all adults. This is not the phenomenon to which I'm referring here. While some adults who live with their parents have legitimate financial and medical reasons, many do so in order to avoid the stress of being an adult. The second path I've noticed in men is workaholism. Here, someone who spends all his energy and attention at work. This guy probably doesn't love his job. He may not even like his job. He merely uses it to escape his life. The third path I've seen men take in life is the one of codependency. This guy becomes obsessed with his significant other. A lot of women find this guy attractive because he seems romantic at the beginning, but sooner or later, the attraction cools. The fourth and final path I've noticed that men follow leads to full maturity. In my experience, this path produces the best results, including development of groundedness, readiness, compassion, and fierceness. It begins with clarity of purpose. Mentoring enhances this path. Once a man has a clear personal mission and knows his value, his actions and decisions will match them. Men without a clear purpose attract unhealthy relationships and behave impulsively. They also tend to lose their cool under pressure. There's a quote from a Christian men's book called Wild at Heart by John Eldridge about turning the other cheek. See, you can't turn the other cheek if you don't have a cheek to turn. The idea is that if you don't have the fortitude, the courage, and the will to knock the other guy's block off, turning the other cheek has little meaning. In high school, I had a number of challenges fitting into society and sought out ways to protect myself. I started getting traction after teaming up with a weightlifting instructor who taught me full contact karate. His name was Clark Vance. He was extremely fit and focused. African-American veteran. Clark helped me build muscle mass, but even more important, he taught me how to best utilize my physical and mental strength. He sparred with me, drilled me in self-defense fundamentals, and along the way, he repeated the message that I should never use brute force unless I truly believed that I or someone important to me was in danger. I didn't play any other sports, so people in school didn't know about my training. I didn't fit their definition of an athlete, so I was often ridiculed. One day, in the crowded main room of school, one of the jocks made fun of me and started pushing my chest, trying to get me to swing at him. What I remembered most is feeling someone's eyes on me. Discomfort and embarrassment flooded through me, but I remembered Clark's admonishing me to not use my hands unless my life was in danger. Even though I felt extreme anxiety and rage, I knew I was in no real danger. The crowd started laughing. He kept pushing me. I said, "I don't want to fight you." Over and over, I repeated, "I don't want to fight you." Then I snapped. Instead of hitting him, I turned and hit one of the wooden lockers nearby. It was made of a dense particle board, not very thick, but it exploded and made a very large noise. He quickly backed up and said, "Okay, killer, we're good. We're good." No one ever challenged me again in school. Now, I don't condone the action. I wish I could have avoided it. But the point is, I had the faculty to do him real harm, and I chose not to use it. Thankfully, I had the fortitude and presence of mind to behave the way I was taught. Young men need to understand the importance of developing both their physical and mental strength. Otherwise, they'll have nothing in their tool belt when they're challenged. Passive aggression has limited effectiveness. So at some point, if they're pushed enough, they'll lash out in a dangerous way. In this story, a big part of me reached for my center. I remembered feeling for the grounded mental state that Clark Vance's rules had given me, along with the physical center of balance that I had practiced with him, which I accessed right before I hit the locker instead of the guy in front of me. Because Clark Vance had emphasized the importance of extracting myself without resorting to physical contact, I summoned the compassion necessary for negotiating a nonviolent way for my adversary to save face. You see, anyone who can't help but retaliate when they're insulted may intend to project strength, but their behavior demonstrates brittleness. They may be capable of great violence, but they don't have a solid core. I'm so glad I had the benefit of such an effective mentor at a young age, so I could learn this difference. The qualities, grounded, ready, compassionate, and fierce, all go together. The starting place must be grounded and ready, which allows the mature man to move in a compassionate way when appropriate, but also, just as easily, move in a fierce way when needed. Even though there's never a bad time to clarify one's mission, one who's clear before he seeks a mate fares far better in life than one that doesn't. Having a meaningful personal mission gives a man a healthy place to stand. Similar to when I had Clark Vance's rules in high school, because they resonated with me and he repeated them often. His rules became my center. My disciplined physical practice fed my fierceness and readiness. As I grew older, even though the content of my core principles and missions adjusted to match my evolving worldview, I never forgot the value of having a strong center. After spending time pursuing his mission, a mature man can easily recognize which potential mates will make him truly happy. After making progress on his mission, he'll have the compassion and core inner strength he needs to develop a healthy partnership with a significant other. When a man can't figure out his purpose, he can't find his center or his fierceness, and he makes short-sighted decisions. This guy isn't ready for a serious relationship, and he attracts the wrong type of partner. To all the women readers, please stop dating men who have no declared purpose. Avoid men who are wandering aimlessly through life because they will only drain your energy. If you think you're going to fix them, even if you succeed, he'll leave you. Think of it this way. You don't move in with your doctor or therapist after you've recovered. Once they've worked themselves out of a job with you, you leave them behind. The same is true for intimate relationships. Also, women, if men you're seeking is pursuing his mission, make sure he includes you in it and that he's willing to join you in yours. In other words, make sure your relationship's a win-win situation. That completes this excerpt from my upcoming book. It's still in the works of being edited, and the working title currently is Taboo, the Lost Code of Men. I'd love to hear your comments. Send them to martin@martinbrosman.com. Make sure to put in the subject line podcast and the name of this show. Also, if you want to learn about my business and success coaching, go to coachingsupport.com. And I've had a wonderful birthday. Have a great day.